The stars were silent that night, and that silence was the warning. From the dark edge of the Orion Spur, 12 vessels slipped through the veil of subspace, their hulls glinting with ionized residue and confidence. The Kareth Dominion had crossed into unmarked territory before, uncharted, unclaimed, and usually unguarded. But this region, Sector Delta 5, felt different. There was a heaviness here, a gravity not of physics, but of presence. Fleet Commander Vor Talvin studied the tactical projection from the bridge of his cruiser, Kar-Un. Human space, the cartographers called it, sparse colonies. Limited range, no known navy to challenge a Dominion spearhead. He was here to prove that the humans were a myth of the frontier, primitive, isolated, and, if necessary, disposable. Signal the formation, Vor said. Standard scan pattern. Begin atmospheric sampling on the outer system. His second, Lieutenant Thresh, flicked his talons across the control panel. Long-range sensors detecting debris fields, metallic, artificial, possibly mining operations. Proceed, Vor muttered. It should have been a routine incursion, but within minutes, the stars began to move. Not the stars themselves. No, these were objects, cold and hard, maneuvering with impossible acceleration. Multiple contacts, Thresh snapped. Approaching Vector 027. Fast, vessels, Vor barked. Yes, sir. 15 signatures. Configuration unknown. Emission spectrum strange. Not plasma-based. Not Dominion technology. The bridge lights dimmed as Karun's systems reoriented to combat readiness. The crew's frilled necks flared with instinctive unease. No hails came, no warnings, only silence on every channel. Attempt contact, Vor ordered. In Standard Galactic. No response. Then, one by one, the unknown contacts began to flicker with faint light. Blue, white, controlled, deliberate pulses. What is that? Thresh hissed. Some kind of beacon? The sensors translated the signal automatically, a single repeating message. You are in Terran sovereign space. Withdraw immediately, Vor stared at the translation. Terran, humans, he gave a low growl. Primitive creatures. Tell them we come in peace, Thresh's crest flattened. Commander, they're vessels, those are warships. I'm reading high-mass rail emissions. Nuclear signatures. Vor laughed softly, dismissing the fear. Bluff. They cannot possibly match Dominion technology. He gave the order to advance. The human fleet did not move. They simply watched, silent, distant, unyielding. Then the central ship, a dark, angular silhouette roughly the size of Kar-Un, transmitted one final message. The translation appeared again on screen. Final warning. Turn back, Vor smirked. They warned twice. How civilized. He ordered the fleet forward. That was when the humans stopped transmitting. On the other side of the engagement zone, Captain Marcus Hale of the UNS Retribution watched the alien formation breach the defense perimeter. The Dominion ships moved like a pack of wolves, arrogant, precise, oblivious to what they'd just done. His operations officer, Lieutenant Sarah Voigt, leaned over her console. Admiral Walker's authorization just came through, sir. Full escalation protocol. Hale exhaled slowly. They crossed the line. Voigt nodded grimly. Yes, sir. They were warned, twice. Hale's voice hardened. Then it's time. He keyed the fleet-wide channel. Task Force Orion, this is Retribution Actual. Confirm engagement sequence, Stonewall. Across the formation, destroyers, frigates, and the carrier UNS Bastion, the command echoed in disciplined unison. No emotion, no ceremony. Just cold execution. Humanity had been quiet for a century. No wars, no expansions, no public displays of force. But the outer colonies remembered the last invasion, the one that left Earth in ashes and steel. Humanity had learned its lesson well. They didn't shout. They didn't threaten. They built, waited, and vowed never to lose again. The Dominion ships fired first. A volley of ion bursts, bright arcs cutting through the dark. Hale didn't flinch. Countermeasures, he said evenly. Electromagnetic flares bloomed, deflecting the incoming fire. Then the Retribution's forward batteries came alive. Railgun 1, fire! The sound was a thunderless quake, a deep vibration that trembled through the hull. A slug of depleted uranium screamed through the void at 3% of light speed. It tore through Karun's shields like paper, then exited the far side of the ship in a blossom of molten debris. "Direct hit," Voight reported. Voice steady but tight. On the Dominion flagship, alarms blared. Vor stumbled as the deck shook beneath him. "What was that?" he demanded. Thresh's eyes were wide. "Impact velocity unreadable. Energy output off the scale. Shields? Collapsed. How? Unknown weapon. Unknown." The rest of his sentence was lost as Karun's starboard wing ruptured. Thousands of tons of alloy vented into the void, trailing blue fire. Vor's fleet scattered, trying to recalibrate. But the humans were already moving. Precision formations, silent coordination. No boasts, no comms traffic, nothing but the cold discipline of soldiers who'd done this before. "They're cutting through us like..." Thresh's voice broke. "Like they've fought this war 1,000 times." Vor slammed his fist against the console. "We must signal surrender. Open hailing frequencies." No response. The humans didn't answer. One by one, the Dominion ships vanished from the tactical display, deleted not by chance, but by judgment. Within 30 minutes, only one ship remained, the crippled Karun, drifting amid the glowing wreckage of its fleet. The Retribution closed in silently. Vor watched through cracked viewports as a dark human cruiser glided past. The words UN Navy stenciled across its hull. The scale was monstrous, its weapons powered but idle. For a moment, he thought they might capture him, study him, show mercy. Then a final message came across his dying console. "We don't warn twice." The Retribution's spinal railgun fired once more. The vacuum of space offered no mercy, and yet it was easier to feel than to endure. Karun drifted like a wounded predator, its hull shredded, shields failing, and engines sputtering. Commander Vor Talavin could feel every vibration, every shudder that ran through the deck as the last of his fleet was eradicated around him. He had underestimated them. Humans. The name had sounded insignificant in his mind. Primitive. Yet now, staring at the monolithic silhouette of the UNS Retribution, he knew the truth. Humans were predators in their own way, and unlike the Dominion, they were patient hunters. "Sir, incoming vectors," Lieutenant Thresh called out, his talons shaking as he worked the console. 3 enemy interceptors closing in. Sublight acceleration, faster than any Dominion scout I've ever seen. Faster than Dominion scouts? Vor's voice was incredulous. "Impossible. There is no known propulsion capable of..." "Sir, they're using gravitic slings," Thresh interrupted, voice tense. "Exploiting the sun's mass to gain velocity. Calculated trajectory perfect for railgun interception." Vor swallowed, a dry, bitter taste rising in his throat. "They fight like tacticians, not barbarians. How?" Thresh shook his head. "We thought we were the apex of strategy. We're amateurs by comparison." The first shot came without warning, a silent, invisible puncture through the void. Karun's hull groaned as a rail slug tore a corridor through the aft engineering bay. Power flickered, alarms shrieking like wounded animals. Crew scrambled to contain the decompression. "Damage control now!" Vor ordered. His voice was sharp, slicing through panic. "Seal all bulkheads! Divert power to shields, whatever is left!" A human interceptor darted past their shattered viewport, a precise streak of dark metal with lethal intent. Vor could see the microsecond adjustments in its trajectory, each one anticipating his evasive maneuvers before they happened. "Sir," Thresh gasped, "they're reading our vector changes before we can execute them." "Predictive algorithms?" Vor snapped. "Impossible. Our movement is too chaotic for calculation in real time." And yet, the humans moved like a shadow of inevitability. In the Retribution, Captain Marcus Hale monitored the Dominion fleet's panic. His voice, calm and measured, carried through the fleet's comms. "Intercept. Disable, do not destroy yet. We will leave one standing to understand our reach." Lieutenant Voight's fingers danced over the control panel, manipulating the targeting arrays with precision born of rigorous simulation and decades of instinct. "Weapon systems online. Slug velocity. Optimized. They won't know what hit them." "Good," Hale said. "Remember, warning issued twice. They had every opportunity to retreat. Back on Karun, Vor was running out of options. The Dominion fleet had been annihilated with terrifying efficiency. What remained were ghostly signals, burning hulls tumbling in silent arcs through the void, debris illuminated only by the distant sun. He realized with a sudden piercing clarity that they were no longer being engaged merely as a fleet. They were a test. A lesson. The humans weren't bluffing. "Sir, shields failing. 60% integrity," Thresh reported. "Hull breach imminent in 2 sectors. Then we fight," Vor growled, though the words sounded hollow even to him. "Full battery, return fire." The remaining railguns fired blindly, fragments of energy and matter streaking toward the human fleet. But the Retribution moved as if anticipating their every shot, and the slugs were deflected harmlessly by point defense interceptors or vaporized in controlled counterfire. "Impact assessment," Voight called. "Collateral 0. Clean interception. Their return fire is negligible, defensive only." "They want control of the engagement," Hale's jaw tightened. "They're arrogant, foolish. Good, let them learn." On the Dominion bridge, crew members shrieked as systems failed one by one. Vor moved among them, barking orders that felt increasingly futile. "Divert all remaining energy to forward shields," he commanded. "Cannot, sir," Thresh replied. "Power grid is fractured. Forward shields at 20%, failing in minutes." The Karun shuddered violently as a second rail slug tore through the hull. Vor was thrown against the console. Pain lanced through him as alarms screamed. The tactical display lit up with ghostly outlines of human ships dancing between vectors, targeting every weak point in his vessel with surgical precision. "They're dissecting us," Vor muttered, voice trembling. "Not annihilating, dissecting. Sir, our engines are offline!" Thresh yelled. "We're drifting! Velocity decaying!" "Drifting," Vor repeated, the word tasting like ash. "Drifting into the mouth of predators." In the Retribution, Hale observed through sensors the complete incapacitation of the Dominion vessel. He made a decision. "Initiate boarding drone sequence," he said. Voight looked up sharply. "Sir, are you sure?" "They're still hostile." Hale's gaze didn't waver. "We will disable without slaughter. Observation is necessary. No warnings remain." Hundreds of micro-drones swarmed toward the Karun, silent and imperceptible, designed to penetrate hull breaches and disable critical systems. Crew alarms flared, frantic attempts to seal compartments and fire defensive countermeasures, but the drones were already inside. They bypassed energy barriers, shut down communication arrays, and harvested tactical data. Vor roared in fury. "Stop them! Tear them from the hull!" Crew scrambled, but the drones were relentless. Within minutes, power surged through the Dominion vessel in patterns they had no hope of controlling. Systems flickered, rewired themselves, and then went dark. "Command integrity lost," Thresh reported. "We are dead in space." Vor's roar turned to a gasp. He realized the humans hadn't even touched their weapons yet. They were proving dominance without committing to full destruction. "Sir," Thresh said cautiously, "they could annihilate us in seconds." "One final volley," Vor shook his head, voice low and broken. "They don't need to." From the viewport, he saw the Retribution's massive railguns pivot slowly, deliberately, aligning on the crippled Karun. Silence followed. Not the absence of noise, space had that already, but the weight of inevitability. Then, like a hammer striking stone, the first slug hit. It was precise. Surgical, shattering the bridge, taking out life support, severing the ship's command systems. Crew screamed, alarms blared, and the vessel began to break apart in a slow, torturous unraveling. Vor Talven, last of the Dominion leadership still conscious, realized the truth of the Terran warning. Humanity did not bluff, and they never needed to. Vor Talven could feel the heat of panic crawling through his veins, even in the frozen vacuum of space. Karun had become a tomb, a skeletal carcass drifting among the burning remains of his fleet. The Dominion had always believed themselves untouchable, the apex predators of the Outer Rim. But now the lie of supremacy lay shattered before him. The UNS Retribution hovered like an executioner, its weapons cold yet omnipresent, sensors sweeping the debris field with the precision of a scalpel. Captain Marcus Hale did not speak over the comms. There was no need. The message had already been delivered. Humans did not warn twice. Vor slumped against the broken console, talons digging into scorched metal. The crew around him were battered, unconscious, or in shock. The drone system still hummed faintly, probing the last pockets of resistance within the ship. The Dominion had not yet fully surrendered, not that it mattered. The humans were in control. Lieutenant Thresh crawled to the console nearest him, voice shaking. "Sir, they could annihilate us." "The entire system, and not a single warning." Vor's claws tapped nervously on the panel. We miscalculated. Always arrogance. Always thinking the galaxy bends to us." He coughed, the sound metallic and dry in the dying oxygen. "Humans, they wait. They watch. They learn. They are patient." Outside the viewport, Hale's ship repositioned, bringing the full might of its railgun battery to bear on the remaining Dominion hull. The enormous vessels of the human fleet formed a crescent around the wreckage, preventing escape without a single shot fired. It was tactical elegance in motion. A trap invisible until the prey realized there was no route left. On the bridge of the Retribution, Hale's eyes scanned the Dominion's remaining systems, displayed on a tactical interface rendered in perfect clarity. "We don't need to destroy them all," he said to Voight. "Only enough to make the lesson stick. Data capture, containment, understanding their command structure. No more, no less." Voight nodded. "Sir, boarding drones are ready for the final sweep." They deployed in coordinated waves. The drones infiltrated every compartment, severing power lines, capturing ship logs, and neutralizing weapons. In the span of minutes, Kar-Un became a ghost of its former self, alive in structure but dead in functionality. Vor felt the inevitability closing in. He knew the humans could end everything with a single burst of their main railguns, yet they did not. It was a lesson in control, in patience, and in discipline. Thresh whispered, voice barely audible. "Sir, they're showing restraint. Are they civilized?" Vor shook his head, lips curling in a bitter smile. "No, they are monsters. Calculated, patient monsters." The Dominion ship shuddered violently as the boarding drones completed their work. Power was restricted, weapons offline, communications cut. Kar-Un's crew could only watch helplessly as the humans demonstrated dominance without needless destruction. Then Hale spoke into the fleet channel. "All Dominion survivors aboard Kar-Un, you are to be secured. Any hostile action will be met with lethal force. Prepare for immediate transport to UN detainment. Compliance will ensure survival." For the first time, Vor realized they were at the mercy of humans, not as aliens confronting an unknown threat, but as subjects under the law of an empire they had dismissed as primitive. On the Dominion bridge, crew scrambled, some defiant, others frozen in disbelief. Vor stood, the last command intact. "Prepare to surrender," he barked, though his voice carried none of the authority it once did. The human drones moved with silent precision, capturing key personnel and data cores, securing the vessel from stem to stern. The Dominion had fought with all their pride, their fleet decimated in minutes by a civilization they had mocked as backward. Vor's talons clenched as the reality sank in. The humans had waited. They had studied the Dominion, anticipated their arrogance, and exacted justice without hesitation. Every lesson the Dominion had ignored, the warnings, the chance to retreat, culminated in this moment of inescapable reckoning. "Sir," Thresh said quietly, they will destroy us if we resist." Full obliteration. "This is the lesson." Vor stared at the viewport, at the fleet of humans poised like hawks over fallen prey. He could see the restraint etched in their movements, the discipline in every maneuver. A bitter pride rose in his chest. At least they were not slaughtered for sport, yet the humiliation was sharp. The lesson clear. Humanity did not warn twice. Hale watched the Dominion's final struggle through tactical feeds. "Secure the vessel," he said. "Bring their commander aboard. Let them understand the consequences of underestimating humans." The boarding drones converged on Vor's location. He raised his arms, not in surrender, but in acceptance. His body shook with anger, fear, and awe. The humans were efficient, lethal, and utterly unflinching. As he was escorted to a transport shuttle, the ship's systems failing around him, he caught one last glimpse of the human fleet arrayed like steel sentinels against the void. The silent message was clear. You were warned. You were given 2 chances. We do not warn thrice. Vor Talvin would survive, but the Dominion had lost more than ships. They had lost the illusion of supremacy, the arrogance of inevitability. Across the dark expanse of space, humanity's lesson echoed, patient, measured, and unforgiving. The transport shuttle detached from the wrecked Kar-Un, carrying the last Dominion personnel toward a distant human vessel. The Retribution pivoted silently, its railguns retracting, its presence a shadow over the void. No celebration, no fanfare, just control, discipline, and the quiet of a predator that had finished its hunt. Hale watched as the shuttle disappeared into the human ship's bay. "Let this be known," he said to Voight, voice calm and resolute. "We do not need to threaten twice. The galaxy will learn this lesson. Humans are patient. Humans are lethal. And above all, humans do not warn twice." Voight nodded, staring at the tactical display, seeing the Dominion wrecks scattered like broken toys across the void. "Understood, sir. They will." The stars remained silent, indifferent, yet the human message had traveled farther than any words could reach. It had etched itself into the memory of every survivor, every witness, and every enemy foolish enough to underestimate humanity. Vor Talvin would return to his empire, broken but alive, carrying a warning more powerful than any weapon. Humanity waits. Humanity watches. Humanity never warns twice. And in the dark, cold vacuum of space, that truth shone brighter than any star.